All right, thank you for stopping in. I wanted to take a deeper dive into hydrokinesis as I was kind of examining some deities, some gods, and I wanted to look at, like the water deities. They're obviously represented in a myriad of ways. And one of the things is I was looking at how do we categorize what these gods' abilities were. So I looked at a lot of these deities and decided that if you had the ability to influence or manipulate water, to create rain. These are elements that go under this power we would call hydrokinesis, or the control of water, which, if you can see that definition down below, it says hydrokinesis is a psychic ability or mental ability to control and manipulate water with one's mind. So not in a physical way. It can involve changing the direction, shape, or state of water, such as liquid, solid, or gas. Hydrokinesis, of course, comes from the Greek terminology, but is used throughout defining a superpower, right? An ability that we know is very, very powerful. So I wanted to look at kind of specifically what we were talking about, some instances of mythology talking about the use of hydrokinesis as this power here. This is obviously Moses, who was parting the Red Sea using this rod here, showing elements of hydrokinesis, the ability again to change the direction or shape or the state of water. And these will be some important elements that I'm going to come back to right when I want to get to my notes. So what the important things about water is it's always reflected well in most belief systems. We don't see a lot of demon association with water. I'll kind of hit that right off the bat. Water is said to be the element of change. This is by the Avatar, the last airbender, right? And he talked about the importance of water. But I wanted to look at water in three ways so we can understand entities who willed hydrokinesis better, fictional characters as well as gods, and how high they really should sit up as far as like if they're being challenged by other type of creatures, right? So we're going to talk more about these specific wielders of water, why they're so powerful. Okay, so there's a couple of applications. I'm going to take three routes in explaining the power of water here. The first is going to be the kinetic, like the hydrokinesis part. We're going to talk about the physical control of water and like what they can do with that. The second part we'll talk about will be some biocomponents. What water means, that we all have water or blood inside our biospheres, right? And that's on a lot of levels. That's other gods and deities too, right? And the last part is going to be like the knowledge part of it, right? So when we're talking about a deity that wells water, we're typically saying that they can create, shape, and manipulate water and inorganic compounds. So that includes like ice, right? That's one of the offshoots you get. So you get the ability to control ice and water. Now, we've seen from some showings here, okay, these are some of the aspects of water. I want to show this image here. Okay, let's go back to this one. This is from, of course, the Aquaman series, and this is Queen Mira, and she is showing water manipulation. She's pulling moisture out of the air to create weapons. That's the first part. That's the kinesis part, that they can always create weapons, right? The planet is primarily surrounded. What's the number? Like 70%. Where's that number at? Somewhere in here. 70% of the earth is covered with water. So that means if you have the ability to pull moisture, most places you can pull moisture out of the air, you can create infinite weapons. And they're able to use those weapons like in a variety of ways. If I can make that weapon gaseous, I can make it ice, right? And again, there's going to be a scale for the person who wields hydrokinesis, how far they are up on the scale. So this is kind of a sliding scale. Maybe you're at one level where this is all you could do, but pulling moisture out of the air to form a weapon, you're going to be a formidable foe. So that would apply to any of these deities. If you're able to influence oceans, water, bodies of water on that level, I think we've got the makings for you to be able to control and create weapons. So hydrokinesis is a pretty powerful skill set. And I think that puts you out of range of a lot of people. Like if you're really locked into controlling hydrokinesis, it makes them very formidable foes, right? And it manifests in a lot of ways. So we'll see the deities. You can see we're kind of going through some of these deities. Water deities, rain gods, they're manifesting hydrokinesis. They're controlling rain, right? They're controlling water. They're creating tempests or calming seas. Remember, sailors would pray to and venerate Ocean here for calm waters. She had the ability to influence water on that scale. The other part of it, so there's a great kinetic ability. Like we even heard during the myth of Odysseus, like the Odyssey, like having the seas turn against you, right, was completely detrimental for them getting home. Like that ability to actually like physically be able to buffet you is very powerful. All right. The other part is the bio components of it. Like if you're facing someone who possesses control over water, that means to a large degree they probably control you to a large degree. Like what we at least know of men, right, is that humans are made significantly of water. A lot of your blood is actually water. 50% of your blood is water. So then when we look at characters like Marie Moreau, who has the ability to control blood, this is the hydrokinetic ability. So any of these deities who control water, if you can control bodies of water, you should be able to control body within someone's body. So that means that any being, any life form that you run into that bleeds is susceptible to someone with hydrokinetic ability. So let's take a look. So anything like dragons would be susceptible. Any physical beings, anything that's got like, there's not. I mean, I'm looking at these deities, like some even like Colossus. Well, I guess Colossus wouldn't. I think Colossus might fall outside of being, by the bio part of him being controlled by someone who's got hydrokinesis. But something like a vampire, definitely it's control of blood, so they're definitely going to be susceptible to that, right? Who else? Let's see. This little hellion Damon here, he's got physical body, so he's got blood, so he's susceptible to it. Right? Now, a cosmic entity like the Phoenix, you're not going to have any such luck. Right? That's not going to work. But I think even like a dark side, if you can bleed, I think you can be susceptible to someone. You should be susceptible to someone who has hydrokinesis on a high level. That's absolutely how it should go down. Because the other thing is you get all kind of healing powers, like I said, for being hydrokinesis. So it makes them formidable. And if they can control you, if I can control your arteries, if they can control your blood, they can kill you. It's as simple as that, right? It's as simple as that. So if we really think about hydrokinesis, that's an ability that they should have. Like, they just don't kill people, right? If you're high up on that skill level, like God level, and I would think that would work even amongst the gods. So why would Zeus be immune to Poseidon's ability to control the water within his body, right? He absolutely still should be. So that's something that we're looking at, okay? So that's another part. The other part of water is that water is also seen as a gateway to both the underworld, right? We'll show some images. We know it's here. This is the underworld. And every time you hear depictions of the underworld, this is a depiction of the duat, like the rivers leading into the duat, just like they have in the Greek stories of Tartarus. So there's clearly water in the underworld, just like there's water up here. So those who command hydrokinesis are still going to wield that same power. There's water everywhere. So it makes them very, very powerful. The other thing that we know about water is water also possesses an incredible memory. Water is said to have the most memory, and there's been lots of stories told about the power of the collective memory of the ocean, how much it remembers every single thing that happens, which means there's ultimately massive knowledge in someone who can tap into the essence of water, like who can tap into that biosphere of water and be able to pull knowledge. So it is infinite diversity in the water. It's infinite knowledge as well. So hydrokinesis, man, on the scale of powers, I'm thinking anyone who's fallen short of being hydrokinetic themselves, like there's no way you would stand up. I think they take out any other type of being. The only thing that worries me is this depiction here, and this is Ghost Rider, and you can see he's underwater, but his hellfire, his soul fire is still burning. So that's the only thing that I could see that possibly could really take out like a hydrokinetic person at the highest power. Should be really sitting at the top of like any pantheon, any like comic book set. The hydrokinetic person should be sitting like right at the top because they can kill everybody just by thinking about it.